And so that I make sure I don't leave anyone out, I will just make a note of the 160 people who had registered for this webinar. So we have people dialing in from Kenya, Burundi, Lebanon, Canada, Montreal, Bosnia, Bulgaria, Albania, the United States, Romania, Greece, Moldova, I think is already signed on, North Macedonia, Switzerland, already signed on, United Kingdom, and Gerard and a number of them are coming from there, Afghanistan, Algeria, France, Ghana, Germany, Turkey, and Nigeria. So of course, if I've missed anyone, please forgive me and just post in the chat group where you're joining us from, and a very warm welcome from Nairobi. So maybe to just get on to some housekeeping before we start the webinar. Dubai, I do see you. Welcome from Dubai. I think I'd already mentioned Kosovo. So maybe just some housekeeping as we start the webinar. We want this to be a fun and interactive webinar, even as we learn about life coaching, about executive coaching, about spiritual coaching, and just the elements of coaching that Gerard will take us through. And there are two ways in which you can interact with us and with each other. So one will be through the chat box. So if you have a comment or a question, we will be monitoring the chat box and you can put it in there, and we will also just mention it for you during the webinar. The other thing that we'd want you to know is that if you'd like to physically ask your question, verbally ask your question, put up your hand, and then we will invite you to unmute, and then you can make your comment, you can ask your question, and you can interact with the material that we'll be handling today during the webinar. Okay. The third thing is, as you come in, kindly mute yourselves so that we're not hearing any of the background noise. And then just unmute yourself when it is your turn to speak so that we don't interrupt the rest of the webinar. Any questions or comments or anything that you want us to take care of? My name is Anne. You can reach out to me on the chat, and Dan as well is available, and Gerard and Vali to answer any of your questions. Okay. So again, welcome. So I want to talk about Gerard, and I want to do it in a very brief way. And he will be mentioning the Noble Manhattan Group in his introduction. But just to mention a couple of achievements of Gerard, he's an old coach. He's been coaching in the business for a very long time. So he's a master coach. He is the CEO and founder of Noble Manhattan. And he has also founded a number of things, like the IRCM, which is the International Regulator for Coaching and Mentoring. He's also founder and CEO of IAPCNM, which is the International Authority for Professional Coaching and Mentoring. He's also CEO and founder of the following: the International Coaching News, the biggest magazine in the coaching world, Coach Radio, the Alpha Group, and also has one of the fastest growing peer-to-peer networks established in 31 countries. So when I say that he's a master coach, you can tell from just a brief view of him that he has the wealth of knowledge to impart to us today. The other accreditation for him is he's one of the only 8 fellow coaches in the world. So apart from his professional credentialing and the things that he's done, he is married with 3 sons, and he lives in Weymouth, I hope I pronounced that correctly, which is a small beach town in the south coast of England, which is having a lot of beautiful sunshine now. So his main hobby is adventure motorcycling. I don't know whether you can tell by just looking at him that he's an adventure motorcyclist, but he'll tell us more about that. And he travels the world on his motorcycle, and so far has gone to over 35 countries, from Morocco to Mauritania, down to Sahara, and over to Ukraine, Bosnia, and many others. So welcome, Gerard, and give us a brief about Noble Manhattan and get on with the rest of the webinar.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Anne. You've done a wonderful job. Thank you. Good afternoon and good evening, everyone. I have to say, I've been looking forward to today for days and days and days. Looking forward to getting to see you all again, to meet you, and of course, to explain what is it? What is it? What does it mean to be a professional coach in the world today? And in the short time that we have together, I want to share with you my knowledge, or whatever I can, my feelings and my enthusiasm for the whole world of coaching. Now, over the next hour or so, I'm going to use different screens. So where I'm looking at you now on my camera, I have a big screen. I have another screen here, and I'm going to pull up a whiteboard and I'm going to draw on it. And I'm also going to show some websites. So I'm going to go a little bit back and forth. For those of you that are not familiar with Zoom, on the top right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see a little word called View, V-I-E-W. If you click on that, you have options, gallery or speaker. If you click speaker, then whoever happens to be speaking and whatever they are showing on their screen will show up in much larger screen. And if you're doing this on a tablet or a smartphone, it's better for you. You'll have a better experience. So first of all, before we begin, I want to say a huge thank you. A thank you to you for giving us your most precious gift, your time. And in order to honor that, I want to give value, I want to give information, I want to give something that will be of real and genuine interest to you all. So the purpose of the next hour, hour and a half is to help you to understand what is it like to be a professional life and executive coach. And I'm going to take you through some bits and pieces, but before I do that, I want to share with you who we are, who is Noble Manhattan. Now, some of you, we are friends. I've got some old friends here on this call, you know, but the majority, this is new. And I want to share with you how different we are as an organization. Now, in the world today, and this is an important point, in the world today, there are approximately 900 coach training companies. That's quite a lot. From China to America, from Finland to South Africa, all over the world. Now, I'm not saying they're good, they simply exist. Noble Manhattan, this company, we are in the top 3 or 4. We have been established for 20 years, and we currently train magnificent coaches in 28 countries around the world, and we do it in 8 separate languages, and soon to be 9. But that's not all. That's not all. We are not just a coach training company. We are far more than that. Almost every other coach training company, if you can imagine, I'm going to use my hands. You know, some people talk with their hands. I'm one of those. So if you can imagine Noble Manhattan Coaching sitting in the middle, training magnificent coaches in 28 countries in multiple languages. And then around the outside, we have created a whole series of divisions and initiatives to help those men and women to build and grow, expand and develop their coaching businesses. And I'm going to take 3 or 4 minutes of your time now, and I'm going to show you a number of websites to show you what we do. And then I will come back and we will get into the meat of this. And I'll talk to you about what does it mean to be a life coach, an executive coach. We'll talk about the income they make, the training they have to go through, how they engage with their clients. I'll talk about the pillars of coaching. And if it's okay with you, and if I don't frighten you all away, later I'd like to talk a little bit about what we call spiritual coaching. Now, I don't want to scare you all off, but I'd like to do that to show you how coaching helps in the world today. But let me start by sharing my screen, and let me see if I can do this. Okay, so here we go. And you're seeing a website right now, and this is our main Noble Manhattan website. Then we have this. We own a magazine called International Coaching News. It is the biggest magazine in the coaching world. In fact, it is the biggest magazine in the personal development world. Let me just scroll down. And we have, oh, there we go, 38,000 subscribers and 101,000 readers. We allow all of our students and coaches all over the world to write articles for this magazine. There is no cost, there is no charge. We provide this completely free. And that allows them to raise their brand, their image, their profile, and let the world see who they are. Then we have a division called Coaching Tools. And as the name would suggest, we provide everything that a coach could need to build, grow, and develop their business. Even things like we will set up their blog for them, we'll even build a website, we'll set up their social media, all of that. We then own Noble Coaches. Now, Noble Coaches is a very interesting division. We actually go and we will get clients, paying clients for our coaches. I'm clicking on the client list here, and you will see some of these names you might know, multinationals. Airbus here, a big European manufacturer. BCR, Bank Commercial Romania. A little company here you probably haven't heard of, Coca-Cola, just a small one. There's LOT Polish Airlines, Pepsi Cola, Nokia, and much, much more. So we actually go, we will get the contract, we negotiate it, and then we give it to some of the men and women who have trained with us, and they get paid to deliver it, which allows them to earn an income and also put on their CV that they have done coaching in these organizations. We're the only company in the world to do that, by the way, the only one. We own Coach Finder. Coach Finder is a listing, it's a register of coaches all over the world. And we allow all of our people to have a completely free listing. And it means that customers, in our industry, we call customers coachees, but I'll call them customers for today. They can search by type of coaching. And I'm showing here business coaching, life coaching, confidence coaching, sales coaching, publishing coaching, you name it. Or they can do it by map. They can search by the coach wherever they are all over the world. And you can see how many people we have. We've got so many thousands of people registered. Or they can search by the actual coaches directory, and they can look for them. And we have people all over the world. Here we go, and they can search by that. So Coach Finder, what a wonderful name that is, Coach Finder. We own a radio platform, Coach Radio International. And we allow all of our students and coaches to have their own monthly radio show this is important, in their own language. We are currently broadcasting in, I think it's 11 or 12 languages. And we will train you and show you, and you need no equipment. We provide everything. You can do it from your home. And we've done a deal with a little company you might not have heard of, a company called iTunes. And every one of our shows appears on iTunes and stays on there forever. Again, as a way of us helping our coaches and students to raise their brand and build a business. We have a publishing arm called Books for You. What a wonderful name, booksforyou.online. And we will publish free of charge for all of our students, ebooks, thesis, to help them become a published author. We will even turn their work into an ebook for them at no cost. this division, Get Coaching Leads, we create what we call landing pages and sales pages for our coaches. We have coaching support groups. These are physical groups that meet in dozens and dozens of cities all over the world, physically once a month. I'll just click on Middle East. We have them in Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon. Let me just click on Lebanon, in Beirut. And each group is run by a leader, in this case, the wonderful Pauline, and her team of officers. And wherever you live in the world, wherever you live, you have access to one of our coaching support groups, either physically or online. And finally, we have the Alpha Group, which specializes only in helping business owners to build and grow their business. And we have the Alpha Group in 31 countries around the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can see that we not only train men and women to be magnificent coaches, we then look after them, we take care of them, we nurture them, and help them to build not only an exciting and a joyful, but a financially rewarding business. And this is what sets us apart from every other company in the world. Now, what I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to talk a little bit now about the basics of coaching, and then I'll stop and I'll open it up for any questions. And I'll do that every 15 or 20 minutes so that you're not having to keep your questions to the very end. So while they are still fresh in your mind, you will be able to ask them. So there's a little bit of just welcome. We've done that. We were established in '93, just me as a personal individual coach, coaching. And then we started to train coaches a few years later. And we've now trained over 25,000 coaches in 28 countries around the world. So now let's get into it. Let's look at what is coaching, what is life coaching, what is executive coaching, and what makes it so wonderful. But before I do that, let me share a little bit of interesting information. Maybe you've heard of an organization called PwC, Price Waterhouse Coopers. Anyone heard of that? You can nod or put your thumbs up or give me a, yeah, great. They're a worldwide accounting and consulting company. They do an annual report on coaching. And you can go to their American website and you can download it. It's about 150-page PDF. And it shows, and this is for the last 3 years running, 3 years consecutively. It shows that coaching is the second fastest growing industry in the world. The second fastest growing industry. And it has been for the last 3 years. And in fact, during this coronavirus situation that we have all experienced over the last 1.5 years, coaching has grown even more, which is rather wonderful for those in the coaching industry. So we're the second fastest growing industry in the world. Would anyone like to know what the number one is? Anyone interested? No? Yeah. Number one is, and it will come as no surprise, absolutely, IT. Both hardware and software, they are growing like a volcano, like a freight train right now. But coaching is the second fastest growing industry in the world. Now, we talk about the 4 pillars of coaching. There's actually three and a funny one. So let me show you what they are. The 4 foundations. The funny one is the fact that over 90% of coaching all over the world is actually delivered at a distance. Now, this was before. These figures were accurate before COVID. Now it's something like 98.5%. Using Zoom, using Skype, Microsoft Teams, or one of those type of programs. Well over 90% of coaching can be delivered at a distance. Now, why do I mention that? I mention it because I love it. I absolutely love it to bits. I live in a small town in the south of England, right by the beach. It's very beautiful, it's very pretty, but it's small. If it's called Weymouth, it has a population of 42,000 people. If I needed Weymouth to provide all of my coaching clients for the rest of my life, I think you'll agree it might be a little bit of a challenge. But I actually, right now, because although I run Noble Manhattan, well, I don't, my teams run it. I'm blessed to have the most magnificent teams. I am also a coach and I have clients. And right now, as we speak, I have a client in San Diego, in California. I have a client in Łódź, a city in Poland. I have a client in Singapore. And I'm just giving those examples because they are thousands of miles apart. Now, I don't travel. I do it all from here, from my office. This is my home office. And I have a laptop and a microphone. And it means that today, now this wasn't the case when I started coaching 25 years ago, but today it means that wherever you live, you can be an international coach. You can build a clientele all over the world. And we will show you how to do that. We'll show you. So coming to the pillars of coaching, or the foundations, the fundamentals. The first one is that coaches, and this, by the way, is difficult for people to take on. Coaches are non-judgmental. Now, what does that mean? It means that to a good coach, it should not matter who your client is. It should not matter if they're young or old, rich or poor, male or female. It should not matter their belief system, the color of their skin, or the country or the culture they come from. To a good coach, everyone is the same. But that's a problem. Because the truth is, you and I, every one of us, have judgments. All of us. We grew up in a family as young little children. We got influenced by the people around us. We went to school, we got influenced. Today, you watch television, you get influenced. You have certain friends you meet, we get influenced. So believe it or believe it not, you and I have a huge weight of judgment sitting on our shoulders. So when we train someone to be a coach, we train people that when they are with their clients, they are able to remove their judgments like a jacket and put it to one side, so that during the coaching process, they are completely clear of judgments. And when the coaching is finished, if they really want, they can put their judgments back on again. But something funny happens, something weird, something strange happens. The more you do it, the more you become it. And the more you practice being loving and caring and compassionate and accepting, the more you become that person. And you know, I think that's a good thing, but that's my judgment. So in fact, everything, even that comes down to being a judgment. So here's the thing. I used to travel a lot before COVID, and people would always ask a number of questions. One of the questions people ask is, what does it take? What does it take to be a wonderful coach? And there are two answers: the official answer and the truth. The official answer is, well, there's so much to learn. You know, you've got to become an expert in questioning skills, listening skills, values, ethics, belief, self-esteem, dealing with abundance, dealing with rapport, goal planning, goal set, and much more. But that's not the truth. The truth is, you need one thing. You need to really love people. It's about that simple. You need to love working with people. If you do, we can teach you all the stuff. We can teach you the techniques, the methods, the models, the systems, the tools, but we can't teach you how to love people. Does that make sense to everyone? No? Someone Some people are giving me the thumbs up. So you need to have in here, in your heart, a willingness to learn how to become non-judgmental. If you have that willingness, we can teach you, we can work with you, we can make you magnificent. So, but you have to love people. So now we come to number 2. And this is difficult if you're a therapist or a management consultant, especially, but coaches are non-directional. Non-directional. What does that mean? It means a coach would never use certain words. Words like must, have to, ought to, and should. There are no shoulds in coaching. We do not point fingers. We do not tell people what to do. Now, is there anything wrong in being directional? No, 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 of course not. Now imagine, we're all at home right now, but imagine we were in a hotel together in some sort of meeting room and the alarm bells went off, the fire alarm, and there's a fire. And if one of you stood up and said to everyone, be silent, do exactly what I tell you, and I will lead you out of here safely. You know, if that happened, I would be right behind you. I would not want to call a meeting to discuss it. So there are times in life it is appropriate to be directional. But coaching is non-directional. So very important that. And finally, the 4th pillar, but it's not the 4th pillar. It's the number 1, the numero uno. It is the font from which everything flows. It is this: coaches have no answer. And some people have difficulty resonating with this. And it's based on something that Einstein said in the 1930s. And you'll have to forgive me, I don't have any notes. I'm trying to do this from memory. Let's see what he said. Einstein said, in order to solve the problems that we face in life, we must access a higher level of intelligence than that which we used to originally create those problems. Now, I'll say that again. In order to solve the problems that we face in life, we must access a higher level of intelligence than that which we used to originally create those problems. Now, there's 2 messages in that statement. And one, to be quite honest, is a bit negative. Well, I think it is. The first message is that whatever you and I are experiencing in life, we have created it. In coaching, we use the phrase, we manifest our own reality. Now, is everyone okay with me saying that? Is everyone, yeah? But to be honest, that's not motivating. Because if you're going through something in life that's causing you pain, you don't want someone coming up and saying to you, well, you caused this. You know, that doesn't sound very loving. But actually, it's the truth. We do manifest our own reality. And I'll show you how we do that. Now, today, I'm not going to talk to you about quantum physics, although that's relative. I'm not going to talk to you about electromagnetism. I'm not going to talk to you about holographic universes. I'm not going to talk to you about the power of thought, about the power of frequency and vibration, even though all of that is very relevant. I'm just going to give you a simple example. Your life, my life, is created by the thousands of decisions we make every month. That decision to have that alcoholic drink or not. That decision to have that cigarette or not. That decision to get up early or stay in bed. That decision to spend another 3 hours watching television or go for a walk outside. That decision when you're walking down your town and you're feeling hungry and you turn left into McDonald's or you turn right into something, you know, more healthy. These are the decisions you and I make every single day. And these create our reality. And I love that. I love it to bits because it means you and I can start to make new decisions. We can start to create a new reality almost immediately. And I find that very, very motivating. So the first message that Einstein had in that statement was that you and I are in charge. We create our own reality. The second message was a little bit more involved. Now, here we are, there's over 60 of us on the call today from many countries. I don't know you, you don't know me. Maybe at some point, and I would love this, we'll get to meet, we'll get to build a relationship, and we'll aim for that. But at the moment, we don't know each other. But here's the truth. I know a lot about you, a huge amount. I know that, number one, you are human beings. And as human beings, you have within you the most incredible power. You have a power, you have a strength, you have an ability, and I'll use this word, you have a magnificence within you. If you only knew how incredible you are, it would shock you to the core, but in a loving, in a positive way. You have an inner light that shines that is out of this world. And I use that phrase very deliberately. You are not only human beings, you are spiritual beings. And as a spiritual being, you have an omnipresence and an omnipower. Now, why am I saying all this? I'm saying it because the truth is that as human beings, you have access to every resource you ever need to deal with any issue or challenge or problem that life throws at you. And more than that, you have access to every resource you ever need for you to set and achieve any goal you want to in life. But the problem is, you and I as human beings, we don't know that, we don't understand that, and we don't believe that, and we have never been taught that. And we have been taught that the answers to our goals or our problems are outside of us. And that's not the truth. The truth is that they are inside. And this is what a coach does. A coach works with their client on a one-to-one, personal and private basis, helping that man or woman to reach deep down inside themselves and find the true answer to their own questions. And we do it in multiple ways. There are something like 150 separate coaching models, tools, and systems. And a good coach will learn many of those, and we teach many, many, many of those. But I'll show you one, just as an example. Very simple one. I'll use my whiteboard. I'm hoping, can you all see my whiteboard? Just give me a thumbs up if you can, or a nod. Yep, great. So there's a very simple one, and you may have heard of this in the past. It's called the Wheel of Life. And the Wheel of Life says that we divide our life into a number of different areas. So we have our, shall we say, our health. We have our career. I'm writing with a digital pen, so it's not very easy to write on a slippery screen. We have our finances. Oh, by the way, finances are not connected to your career. Most people make the mistake of linking the two together. They are absolutely not. We have the people you love and that you want to spend time with. We have community, the people around you. We have your intellect and your knowledge and what you know and studying. We have, and this is a big part of people's lives, fun and socializing and friendships. And then we have, I guess, my favorite, spiritual. And there are more. There are many more. A good coach would work with their client, helping them to resolve issues and challenges and problems in each of these areas. And then helping them to set and achieve goals in each of these areas. But again, we have to be careful. There's no point in helping someone to become a multi-millionaire if they have a heart attack and die on the way. And again, this is my judgment, I guess, coming into this. So forgive me for sharing this and then speaking like this. And there's no point in helping someone become a multi-millionaire if they lose all the people that they love and that love them. So we help our clients to build and grow in a dramatic, in an enthusiastic, in a motivating, but in a balanced way. So I'll just share that there with you. That's just one of the very many tools that we would use. Here is a definition of coaching. Now, I've got a handout for you all, and the handout is a one-page, and we're going to send this to you in the next couple of days as an attachment to an email. And it's a long, detailed definition of coaching. But here is a shortened version, the first 2 lines. Coaching is about performing at your best through the individual and private assistance of someone who will challenge, stimulate, and guide you to keep on growing. Guide you to keep on growing. And that's what coaches do. So let me stop for a moment to share and see if any of you have any questions or anything you'd like me to go back over. And don't be frightened to ask, don't be frightened to put your hand up if you have or to type it in the chat box if you're more comfortable doing that.
Thanks, Gerald. That was amazing. And, just that the biggest takeaway for me was just remembering what the essence of coaching is, which is really around the care and the support and the love for individuals. So there is a question that came out from Laura, and I think the Coach Finder, you talked about the Coach Finder website that you have, and her question is, do we have to be accredited coaches or to have finished the PCD to be listed on the Coach Finder, or can we start early? We talked about the ROI of coaching,
right?
So maybe we can,
Okay, so two good questions. The Coach Finder, absolutely not. As soon as if you were one of our students, and I'm not saying you have to be at all, if you were, you have immediate access to the Coach Finder at no cost. Zero, zilch. You do not have to be fully qualified or accredited. And the second question, Anne, was it about the ROI, did you say?
Yeah, so I guess there could be coaches on the call or people who have done their training elsewhere.
Yes.
So do they need to be accredited to be on the Coach Finder, or is there a way in which? Yeah.
No, they don't. They don't.
Okay. So any coach who has gone through training can apply to be in the Coach Finder.
Absolutely. We honor, even if they made, and it's not easy to make the right decision, Anne, and if they decided to train with someone, we acknowledge and we forgive them. It's not easy to make the right decision. I'm joking. Please. I'm funny with you.
I know.
But we honor the fact that they actually took action to become a coach. That in itself is a magnificent thing, because coaches change the world.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to get too lyrical about this, but I believe that coaches can change the world one person at a time. I really do.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me show you a few other differences between coaching and let me see if I can flash up this. Here's the difference. You can see let me share my screen. So there's a huge difference between what we would call conventional therapy. And by the way, there are many therapies, wonderful therapies: Gestalt, transactional analysis, occupational therapy, cognitive behavior, and many, many more. But there is a huge difference between conventional therapy and personal coaching. And again, I have a PDF. We're going to share this with you all in the next day or so. We'll send it to you as a gift. But I've created about 100 differences. I'm only going to go through a small amount today. But therapy is all about personal strengthening. Coaching is about personal evolution. Therapy is about triage. Coaching is about visioning. Therapy is about issue resolution. Coaching is problem solving. Therapy is why me? Why this? Coaching is what's next? What's now? Therapy is unconscious to conscious level. Coaching is conscious to a much higher conscious level. I won't go through them all. I don't want to bore you, but there's about 100 differences. And if you would find it interesting, I'm happy to send that to all of you. And I also want to share with you something else. Another big difference between therapy and coaching. So if we, and I'm hoping you can see my whiteboard, just give me not yet. So we have now, past, and future. A lot of therapy, not all, but an awful lot of therapy is aimed at dealing with issues that have arisen in the past. Traumas, issues, problems, and so on. Generally speaking, coaches don't. Coaches start from where we are right now. And we are all about looking into the future and helping our clients, we call them coachees, helping our clients to create a magnificent, and I will use the word compelling future. And a magnificent and a compelling future. Okay. And that is one of the main differences. So very much we deal on the positive side, looking to the future, not the negative and looking back. Now there's always exceptions, but generally speaking. So what I'd like to do now, ladies and gentlemen, is show you what I call the shape of coaching. And even a lot of very well-established existing coaches are not familiar with this. So I'll draw it out for you. At the moment, we have coaches. Oh, so there. Let me clear that. So we have now, would anyone like to guess how many coaches there are in the world? We have a rough idea because of PwC's annual survey covering 178 countries. So we have a rough idea. Anyone like to guess? Put in the chat, type in the chat how many coaches you think there are on the planet. Don't worry, you can't get it wrong. So 10,000?
10,000, 100,000?
100,000, a million?
Many? 50,000?
Okay, right. The best guess that we have is about 250,000. Now, here's a question. Is that a little or is that a lot? Because you go onto LinkedIn and my goodness, everyone seems to be calling themselves a coach. Has anyone noticed that? No? Yeah. Well, I live in the United Kingdom. In the United Kingdom alone, there are 400,000 registered therapists. In America, the USA, there are 1.2 million registered therapists. They're not coaches. So if you look at that and then you think, well, there's only 250,000 coaches in the whole world, actually, it's not that many. It's really not that many. And there's not enough to go around. There's a big problem. We've been talking to some of the large multinational companies, and they are struggling to bring in external coaches to find the right ones. So anyway, I'll get back to where I was. So at the bottom, there's coaches. Above coaches, training organizations, about 900. And our company, Noble Manhattan, we're one of those. Above training organizations, you have, how can I put this, industry bodies and membership organizations. There's a very well-known one called the ICF, International Coaching Federation. They're very good, and there's many others. There's about 50 of these. Now, the important thing to remember is these are private. They're not run by any government body. They're private and they're for profit. They make profit. Above that, this is where it gets interesting, is accreditation bodies. And there's only about 9 of those in the world. One of the big ones that we deal with is the IAPC and M, International Accreditation Body for Coaching and Mentoring. And then above that, there's the IRCM. Well, that should be a C. The International Regulator for Coaching and Mentoring. What does the word regulator make you think of? It's almost like the policeman of the industry. Now, the difference is these and these and these, they all have customers or members. So their loyalty is to their members. This organization is different. This organization is there to protect customers. So the men and women who buy coaching, the people who hire a coach. Does that make sense to you also? A very different focus. And they're a wonderful organization. And they were set up by the House of Lords in the United Kingdom, and then have grown and gone into many, many other countries all around the world, become international. So it means that the industry, we still are what is called an unregulated industry, but we're slowly moving towards being regulated. And personally, I'm very, very happy about that. Because the sad news is, and I mentioned this, the sad news, there are many people out there who call themselves coaches who have had no professional training and no accreditation of any kind at all. So I would love to see us move into a phase where that becomes more relevant, and so on. So before I move on, any questions about this, about the standards, the accreditation part?
Gerard, maybe before you answer the question on accreditation, there's a good question that has come out from Rabi. And I know this is something that maybe a number of coaches have encountered. So this is the question. So if with the coaching session, the coachee or client shows an inability to move forward from a past trauma, how should we approach that as a coach and not a therapist?
Okay, well, first of all, always with care, love, and compassion. Oh, let's put that on the table now.
Yeah.
And then let's say by never telling. Okay, so that's again another key point. But the good news is, and what you ask is actually quite normal. It's actually quite normal for a client, a coachee, to resist moving forward in some ways, because all of us, no matter where we are in our comfort zones. Even if we're experiencing terrible things in our lives, if it's gone on for months, believe it or not, that becomes the norm. And we get used to it. It's like the old dog lying on a nail. The nail is hurting him, but it's too much effort to get up and move. So the good news is we have special tools and models specifically aimed to help clients in that very way. And it would take too long today. It would take a couple of hours to go through those various tools. But the good news is we have absolutely tools to deal with that very situation, because it's not unusual. Another thing is, when you say to a client, here's a very simple question: what do you want? Now, you and I would imagine that's a very straightforward question, and you could give a straightforward answer. You would be amazed. there are countless people who say, well, actually, I don't know. That's one of my problems. I don't know what it is that I want. Now, I'm not going to get into a coaching session today, but I'll just give you a brief synopsis of something, if I may take a moment of your time. There are two types of motivation in the world. We use the phrase towards and away from, towards and away from. Would any of you like to guess which is the more powerful? And just put it in the chat. Any of you, towards or away? Just don't worry if you can't get it right or wrong. There's no right or
Away
wrong.
from?
Away from?
Away.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're absolutely right. It is away. Now, towards, you say to someone, what do you want? And they say, oh, I want to have a lovely life. I want to have a beautiful partner I'm in love with. I want to have great children, a good career, money in the bank. I want to drive a Ferrari. These are all, But sometimes you say, what do you want? And they say, I don't know. But let's go back to why people want things. You say to someone, what do you want? And they say, I want a lot of money. I want a lot of money. And it might be because it's towards, they want recognition and they want significance and so on. That's fine. But it might be for the other reason. Maybe when they were children, they had a very difficult childhood. There was no money in the family. Maybe there was days when there was no food on the table. Maybe there were times when they had no shoes on their feet to go to school, and they had to put newspaper into their shoes because there was holes in there. And they had secondhand clothes, and other children laughed at them. And they remember this. So the reason they want a lot of money is so that they never, ever have to revisit that sort of feeling or situation in their life again. And away is more powerful than towards. Let me give you a real life example. A mother will work really hard to have children, to have some lovely children. But my goodness, she'll work harder to protect those children and look after them. Never get between a mother and her children, in a threatening way. So towards motivation is powerful, away is even more. So if you say to someone, what do you want? And they say, oh, I don't know. Then we turn it around and we say, of course. What don't you want? And they might say, well, I don't want to be poor. You say, of course. Explain to me what poor means to you. Describe it to me. Tell me the pictures you have in your mind when you say the word poor. Tell me the scenarios you think of. What does poor mean to you? What does it look like? What does it feel like? So now, what is it we have to do in order not to be that? So again, answering your gentleman's question, I'm sorry I've been a bit long-winded, Anne, but again, we have techniques, methods, tools, models to deal with all of these. So
thanks, Gerard. So I want to ask a question around the accreditations, and you talked about a number of groups, right? Mm-hmm. So if I get my training with Noble Manhattan,
yeah,
do I get accredited somewhere? Do I get registered in one of these?
Well, that's a funny question, and it's something I was about to come to. You've stolen my thunder. You must be looking at my notes, but no.
Go ahead.
Most coach training organizations in the world have gone out and got accreditation for their training course from an outside, an external body. And that's a good thing to do. We recommend that. Noble Manhattan, we have accreditation from 5 completely separate worldwide accreditation bodies. And we are one of only 11 companies on the planet to be recognized by the IRCM, International Regulator for Coaching and Mentoring. So we are accredited by the ICF, by the ILM, which it stands for Institute for Leadership and Management. We're accredited by City and Guilds, a government education body in 120 countries. We're accredited by the IAPC&M, International Authority for Professional Coaching and Mentoring. And as I mentioned a minute ago, we're accredited by the IRCM, International Regulator for Coaching and Mentoring. It might be overkill. Every other coach training company is accredited by one. We have 5. So, to your question, any man or woman that trains with us because they have gone through our training program and we are accredited by those various bodies, they are then able to go directly to those and apply for accreditation, and they are taken on a swifter path, a shorter accreditation path than everyone else, because they have already ticked a number of the boxes by going through our program. So again, I hope that sort of explains what we do. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
So what I think I should do, maybe I should, because that question came at an interesting time, maybe I should explain a little bit about what does it mean to train to be a coach? What does one have to?
Yeah.
What does one have to go through, and you know, what's it like, the structure? So I'll show you both my PowerPoint, and I'll show you my whiteboard, and we'll do that at the same time. So I'll start with my whiteboard. Okay, so our main program, if I clear this, and this is the name is interesting. It's called PCD. So, diploma. Now that in itself is interesting. Every other coach training company in the world, when you train with them, you get a certificate. In the world of education, you have levels. You have certificate, above that is diploma, and above that is a degree at a university. So our course is much higher than a certificate, but not quite as high as a full degree. We are accredited by 5 accreditation bodies. The course is approximately 350 hours, but we have designed it so that it is suitable for someone who is working full-time or looking after a family full-time. And we've designed it so they can do it themselves. The average person, of course, no one is average, but the average person does 6 or 7 hours a week for anywhere between 6 to 10 months. The course is also incredibly flexible. If someone is working hard in their life and they've got new children, or they're pregnant, or they're moving home, or they're moving job, they can actually stop it. They can freeze it. They can come back to it again later. Or if they want to go crazy, they can put their blinkers on and just really go for it and do it in a very short time, in 3, 4, or 5 months. So very, very flexible, and aimed at people who are working full-time or looking after children, which takes an awful lot. You know, the most important people in our world today are mothers looking after children. So when you register on our PCD, you will be sent by courier a box, and in the box will be the course book, manual, handbook, logs. In fact, everything you need. You will never need to purchase anything extra. This will all be sent to you within about 48 to 72 hours of you registering. We then register you online. We have a very, very sophisticated and detailed what they call learning management system, with all of our material on there as well. So not only will we give it to you physically, you will also have it digitally, Word documents, PowerPoints, PDFs, all of that as well online. We then you will be invited to attend webinars. And there will be a minimum of 2 webinars every single month. One is a live training webinar on a coaching subject like questioning skills, listening skills, values, ethics, beliefs, self-esteem, building rapport, goal planning. Oh, we have about 40 subjects. The other is a support and development webinar where you bring any questions, anything at all. These happen 2 evenings in the month. Usually, because we're dealing in 28 countries in many time zones, but usually about 6 or 7 in the evening. And if you can't make them, it's okay. We record every single one, and you can log in and access the recordings anytime, day or night. You can download them onto your phone or tablet. You can listen to them in your car on your way to work, and so on. So very, very flexible. We will divide, every student gets a 1-to-1 tutor. We call them a mentor. And that man or woman will work with you on a 1-to-1 private, personal basis. They will meet with you on a regular basis on Zoom or Skype or one of these, and they will be your trainer, your advisor, and your client, and you will coach them, and they will give you guidance and feedback. And you will do that for many months. And when they feel you're ready, they will put you forward for what's called a final assessment. And that is with one of our master coaches. These are all senior coaches with over 700 hours of coaching behind them. Our master coaches have over 2,000 hours of coaching behind them. We will also then set you up in study buddy groups of 4 or 5 people. And you meet each week for half an hour on Zoom, and we provide everything. And you act as a support group for each other. You help each other with your written work, with your coaching, and you move through the course together. There is some written work. 5 essays. Now, don't worry. We know that for many people, it's been a long time since you've been in a school environment. So we look after you, we take care of you, we give you examples of previous work, and we help you. And over the 6, 8, 10 months, you will submit 5 short essays. The average essay is 1,000 words. Let me hold up something. An A4 page, 1 page, is about 500 words. So 1,000 words is the equivalent of front and back. 2 pages. So it's not War and Peace, and we'll help you with that. Then there will be masterclasses. These are 6 full-day masterclasses. Now, all over the world, we're doing some of these physically, and it's because of coronavirus. Some of them where it is allowed, we are doing them physically. And in many other places, we're doing them online using Zoom. But I'll call them full day classroom events from 9 till 5. And you are invited to attend those, and you get to meet the other students and interact. We also then do what we used to call a residential. And that's a 4-day classroom. And we do it with between 20 and 25 students with 8 staff. So a huge amount of personal interactivity. And again, in some places we're doing these physically, in some places we're doing them on Zoom. It depends what the rules regarding coronavirus and COVID-19 are. So let me show you my PowerPoint, and I'll take you through this in more detail. So we call it blended learning. We know that every one of you listening today has got a different way of learning. Some of us are what is called visual. We learn visually. I like to draw and whatever. Some of us are audible. We like to listen. Some of us are kinesthetic. It means we like to touch and feel. We have designed our program so it covers all of these. So no matter what your dominant learning style, the course will be appropriate for you. There are elements of reading and research, home study, written work, webinar training, one-to-one mentoring, everything you need. We will cover many different modules. We have many modules. Modules on communication skills, listening skills, values, ethics, belief, questioning skills, building rapport, action plans, self-esteem, confidence. We have completely separate training manuals on all of these, and we take you through them over the months. You will receive your course book, your manuals. Now, I'm showing you this screen because at the bottom, there's something interesting. You'll get your mentoring, you'll get your live final assessment. We have support coaching. So it's very probable that there will be a physical support meeting in your town or city for you to attend every month as well. If not, we have them online. But this is interesting. When you are a student, we provide live webinars for you during your course. When you finish and you are done and you are qualified, we allow you to carry on accessing and attending all those webinars for the rest of your life, free of charge. There is no cost. And because we have been doing this for 20 years, and we have recorded every single lecture we have done, we have got, I don't even know how many now, we have got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of recorded lectures. They are made available to you the minute you become a student. And when you finish, you have access to those again for the rest of your life, completely free of charge. So, I mentioned the study buddy groups. You will also do, during that process, actual coaching. You will do over 60 hours of one-to-one coaching, and we will help you to document that in a professional log. And you will also have access every month to live personal coaching support groups, wherever you are. Then, as I mentioned, there's the 4-day experiential and the masterclasses. All of that makes up the practitioner coach diploma. Now, before COVID, we have a number of physical training venues all over the world. This is our training venue in the United Kingdom, and we've used that for 20 years. This is one in Romania. This is one in Sofia in Bulgaria. This is one in Poland. These are our training venues we've used countless times. This is one that people always love in Antalya in Turkey. It's always sunshine. This is one in West Palm Beach in Florida. Now, before COVID, we ran physical residentials and we paid for your accommodation, your food, everything is covered. This is something that no other coach training company does in the world. Now we're doing these online because of COVID. When COVID goes back to normal, we will start slowly to go back to these sort of events. And because this particular meeting we're doing today, and I didn't mention this meeting today is in honor of our team in Kenya. It is in honor of the fact that we are launching Noble Manhattan into both Kenya and the greater Africa. And you will all know Africa is huge, 54 completely separate countries. But we're going in through Nairobi in Kenya, and we're going to work with some magnificent students and coaches, and we're going to bring professional coaching into Africa, starting in Kenya and branching out from there. So the reason we're doing the meeting today is to honor the work put in by our wonderful Kenya team and to expose, if that's the right word, to expose coaching to many people in different parts of Africa and of course beyond. We have people in 22 countries. We always choose somewhere, if we do have a physical meeting, that has a wonderful feeling to it. We don't use a hotel in the middle of the city, and we will be looking to find somewhere just as beautiful in many parts of Africa in the months to come. So, a question on everyone's mind will be, what is the investment? What is the investment? Now, if you've come on this meeting, it shows you may have some interest in training to be a coach. You may not. That's okay. We will never put pressure on you. But if you have, you may have done some investigation. And you may have looked at some of the other, what I will call Premier League coaching companies. Noble Manhattan is in the Premier League. Out of the 900 coach training companies in the world today, there are about 5 that are classed as the Premier. Noble Manhattan, Ericsson, CTI, the Fielding Institute, the Newfield Network. If you look at those, and by the way, none of them offer the services to build your business. If you look at those, they are charging on average, and this is in US dollars, between 11 and 13,000 US dollars for their course. Ours, I can absolutely assure you, are nothing like that. Nothing. And because we trade and we do business in so many countries, it varies ever so slightly per country. But we will share with you individually, we'll tell you by email and we'll have a one-to-one discussion with you how much it is in your own individual country. But because this meeting is to honor, and literally I will use the word celebrate, to celebrate the launch of Noble Manhattan into Kenya, for those of you attending this call today who are anywhere in Africa, anywhere, then our leadership team have put together, and I do use this word deliberately, the most amazing deal. You will never see anything like it in your life. It is beyond amazing. So just inquire, send an email, say how much is it? We'll get back to you. We'll let you know. Now, you may also be interested in something. We are the only coach training company in the world to offer what is called a bursary. What is a bursary? Well, universities offer bursaries. Another word is scholarship. Now listen to this. Every single one of you is entitled to a scholarship. Everyone. If you are in a very well-paying job, it might be small, 50 or 100 US dollars or equivalent. If you are a single mother looking after children on your own, it could be huge. This is not a loan. This is money we literally give you, and you never have to pay back. We discount it from the course to honor you for what you are doing and to recognize the situation you currently are in financially. We recognize that. We want to help. So every one of you can apply for a scholarship with no compulsion, no obligation to take on it, to do it. And we will let you know what you will get. We're the only company in the world to do this in coaching. The other thing we do is APL, strange letters. It stands for Accreditation for Prior Learning. It means if you already have knowledge, experience, qualifications in certain categories of business or industry, if you are already a HR manager, you've done counseling, therapy, NLP training, much more, we don't feel that it's right and ethical to charge you money for something you already know. So again, we will reduce the cost of our course based on your track record and your history. And we send you a Word document and you fill in what have you done. And we will let you know what extra discounts you are able to get from the program. So again, even though the cost of our course is nothing like our competitors, we will then reduce that even further with our scholarships and our APL, accreditation for prior learning. So again, I can't give you a figure because we're in 28 countries, and in every country it just differs ever so slightly. But our managing director in each country would be delighted to just have a coffee on Zoom with you and explain what it is in their region. I hope that makes sense to everyone. Now, I'm looking at the time, and I know that none of you want me to go on, but if you have a moment, I'd like to just whiz through the benefits that coaching brings to the world today. Would that be okay? If I just whiz through, and forgive me if I go 5 minutes over. I call it spiritual coaching because it is almost spiritual, what we do with our clients. Self-awareness. Who am I? What are my good points? What are my bad points? What turns me on and off? Coaching helps people to become deeply aware of who they are, what they are, their place on the planet, and their reason for being here, and how to build and grow and set motivating goals that will really elevate them and who they are. There are certain people in the world who are vision and value led. Spiritually intelligent people want to serve something larger than themselves. You know, here's two different examples. Mother Teresa and Bill Gates. Anyone heard of those two? I don't know if you know. But Bill Gates had a vision many years ago of putting a computer on everyone's desk. Mother Teresa had a vision of helping poor, starving children in Calcutta. Both completely different, but both rather wonderful visions. Coaching helps someone to create a vision of who they could be, what they can see, what they can do, what they can achieve, and more importantly, what they can leave as a legacy for others. The capacity to own adversity and use it constructively, to learn from my mistakes. Guilt. This is the word guilt. Guilt can be one of the greatest things that hold you back in life. And coaching teaches us to recognize where guilt comes from, to recognize why we feel guilty about something, to use it as a way of learning, and to take that learning and implement it in the future, to create the future of your dreams. You see, for me, the past is another country, and I don't live there anymore. But many people live in the past. Coaching teaches us how to live in the future. Coaching teaches us how to be holistic, to see the connection between all things, to see the connection between all human beings. You know, why? Why would you want to harm another human being when we are so intrinsically connected? The ability to refrain from things. You know, so many people get involved in stuff that just doesn't do them good, stuff that doesn't help them. And coaching teaches us to look at where we focus our time and to focus it on empowering. See, the word empowering is so aligned with coaching. Coaching is all about empowering people, not disempowering. It's about giving them back the power over their lives and taking charge. And harmlessness and compassion. Two of the greatest things in coaching. Number one rule is do no harm. And number two is show compassion for everyone. There's an old saying, I'm not sure if it's true, but you'll understand. It says, if you get trapped in an elevator with a stranger for an hour, you will come out loving them. Now that may not be true with some of the people I know, but you get my drift. It means when you really get to know someone, you understand why they say the things they do, why they do the things they do. And sometimes we have no idea what difficulties people are going through in life. And they put a show on for everyone else. And coaching teaches us to do no harm and to show compassion for everyone. Tolerance and the celebration of diversity. It teaches us to embrace our differences, not to push them away. And yet, if you look all around the world today, there are groups of people pushing other groups of people away, saying, you're different to me. And coaching teaches us to embrace our differences. It teaches us to stand up, to have field independence, to have the internal strength, to have the courage to stand against the crowd when we have principles and values that are important to us. And sometimes it can be very fearful and scary when the rest of the world is saying this and you're saying this. Coaching teaches us to have that internal courage to stand for our values and our principles. It teaches us about the ability and willingness to ask questions. Constantly be like a little child. Those of you here who have children will know that, little children aged 4, 5, 6, 7 constantly ask questions. And then we stop when we get older. We grow out of it. We take on the attitude that it's better to go along with people so that we can get along with people. And we stop rocking the boat. Well, coaching gives us the strength and courage and tenacity to stand up for our beliefs and to ask questions. Why are you doing this? What are your motives? What sits behind that? And finally, spontaneity, flexibility, freedom, the passion to be, to play, the quality of living in the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what coaching does. And I'll finish off by this. You see, as human beings, there are 3 things that are so important to us in life. Number 1 is attention. We need attention because as human beings, we have a deep down need for significance. Number 2, we have a need for worthiness. And we have a need, therefore, to be appreciated. And one of the nicest things you can do for anyone is to show deep appreciation. And finally, we need affection. But I don't mean affection, I mean love. And this is what coaching does. When you as a coach sit down with a client and you give that man or woman 100% attention, and during that session, you are not important. You, the coach, are like a grain of sand. You are like a grain of rice. They are the most important person right at that moment. And we show them total and complete appreciation, not only for who they are, but for who they could be. And finally, and this may sound kooky, but it's not meant to be, we show affection. Remember I said at the beginning, one of the greatest things you need to be a coach is you need to love people. You cannot sit down with another human being and focus all your attention and all your appreciation on that person with no selflessness at all, unless you really, really like working with people. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I believe is one of the greatest things that coaching does. It does, and it helps you. One of the side benefits is that you as the coach, I often say this, I've done over 8,000 hours of paid coaching. I often say, if the client only knew the benefits that we got from each session, they'd have to pay us. Sorry, we'd have to pay them. We'd have to pay them if they only knew that we were getting just as much benefit. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I've come up to the hour, almost to the minute. I hope I haven't bored you. I hope I've given you some information that's of use. I personally am available by email to all of you.